Nimbus is a tool that aims to improve the developer experience for programmers developing applications that are deployed as serverless functions, for example using AWS Lambda. Often applications designed in this style are fragmented into lots of small components that are built separately, making it hard to see the overall design. Nimbus allows developers to work on the application as an integrated whole, even though the component parts are deployed separately. Nimbus solves many of the problems that exist in current serverless solutions, where large configuration files, prone to human error, are required. A common complaint from serverless developers is that integration testing is difficult and slow to perform, due to lengthy deployments. This is an example of a HTTP serverless function written using Nimbus. Note the use of annotations to configure the function. You can put whatever input object you want into Nimbus, and it will handle deserialization from JSON. You can also put whatever return object you want, and it will handle serialization into JSON. Nimbus supports many function types, including file storage buckets, document stores, and queues. Nimbus can also be used to declare other resources, like a document store, which would be DynamoDB in AWS. Here's an example. Note the use of key and attribute annotations, which correspond to the columns in the cloud table. Nimbus provides clients that allow you to interact with these resources in a cloud-agnostic fashion. Note how we can interact with the document store like a map, with the ability to get objects and put objects. Nimbus supports other resources like queues, notification topics, and relational databases. To deploy this application to the cloud, first we compile it, and then we run the Nimbus Maven plugin goal deploy, which will then deploy the application. Nimbus provides various features to speed up deployment and to catch potential errors early. Instead of using the Maven Shade plugin for function deployment, which could result in a large jar file for all of the functions, Nimbus can package each of the functions into its own jar. This can result in smaller jar sizes, which leads to shorter cold start times. It can also lead to shorter deployment times, as Nimbus will detect what functions have changed and only package and deploy those. Here we see Nimbus start to do its dependency processing. Now it's creating the jars where each of the functions only have their dependencies. So here we can see that Nimbus has detected 2 functions to deploy, which it is currently uploading. These deployment optimizations are useful as, for example, if I'm in a larger project with say 50 functions, if I make a change to just one of the functions, Nimbus will only deploy that one, as opposed to packaging all of the functions and then uploading them in one large file, which can take quite a long time. Okay, so now Nimbus has done deploying this application. We can see that it has created a REST API, which we then can go and navigate to and then interact with. So that application we just built was a very simple REST API that allows you to put a person object into a document store, and then another endpoint that allows you to retrieve a person from that same document store. And here's an example of this API in action, and you can see that I'm using the AWS URL that Nimbus reported. Finally, Nimbus allows the whole application to be built and run locally, which greatly speeds up testing and debugging. For example, I can use that feature to write a unit test to check that the post API puts an item into the document store. I can also write a test that the get API returns an item from the document store. Nimbus can also spin up a HTTP and WebSocket server that allows you to connect to your functions and any static websites you've configured. Here I'm interacting with the same API we had before, but this time it's deployed locally. Notice the fact that it's localhost 8080. One of the best things about Nimbus is that switching between this cloud deployment and the local deployment requires absolutely no change in code. So Nimbus supports many more functions and resources than I've mentioned here, so here's just a list so you can see what is supported. So, as you've seen, Nimbus helps to write and maintain serverless applications at every stage of deployment.